السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كلما ذكر ذاكرون. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كلما غفل عن ذكر الغافلون. I want today to focus on a key verse in Surah Al-Rum, ayah number 20. We are familiar, in fact, with some details in Surah Al-Rum, particularly the beginning, when Allah promises success and victory to the Romans over their enemies, the Persians, even though in the beginning it says they've been defeated, but they will regain strength after some time. It's a divine promise and miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The focus, however, is not on those verses, it's on ayah number 20, which comes later. And in that surah, of course, you have this, Allah is emphasizing His sunan, His way, having yaqeen, having trust and belief and certainty in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The ayah number 20 I'm going to speak about, in fact, begins by saying, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن آياته, and from the signs of Allah. There are, of course, in those 10 ayat from 20 to 30, 6 of them that begin with that وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and from the signs of Allah. And Allah in the Quran, different places, tells us that Allah reveals His signs to us, لَعَلَّكُمْ بِلِقَاءِ رَبِّكُمْ يُوقِنُونَ, so you would have certainty in meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in those 10 verses, 3 of them at least, and with saying, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَسْمَعُونَ, indeed in that are signs for those who will listen. لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ لِقَوْمٍ يَعْقِلُونَ, for those who think deeply, for those who reflect, are signs for them. And there are, of course, other verses like that in the Quran as well, but in those 10 verses you have 3 and you have 6 that begin with وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ. And so number 20 then begins وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and from the signs of Allah, أَنْ خَلَقَكُمْ مِنْ تُرَابٍ ثُمَّ إِذَا أَنْتُمْ بَشَرٌ تَنْتَشِرُونَ. And from the signs of Allah is Allah made you from dust, meaning you're made from nothingness, from just dust. And Allah says, and then you become like people and you're around the world, and there's lots of you in the world. So if you think about that, now of course, now the verses that continue, they say, and they speak about like the signs of Allah in conjoining the human in marriage, the thunder, the lightning, all miraculous things, beautiful things. But they begin with وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, and from the signs of Allah, أَنْ خَلَقَكُمْ مِنْ تُرَابٍ, and from the signs of Allah, Allah made you from just dust, and it's humbling. It's a reflection point for us to think about our origin, to think about, is there ever a need for us to become so arrogant in the land? There never is. Allah says that your origin is just another, and we will return, in fact, to that state. مِنْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ وَفِيهَا نُعِيدُكُمْ وَمِنْهَا نُخْرِجُكُمْ تَارَةً أُخْرَى. Another verse in the Quran, and from the earth you're created, and to the earth you will return, and from the earth you're coming out a second time. So the Prophet of Allah in the hadith, in his last sermon, he says, O people, كُلُّكُم مِّنْ آدَمَ وَآدَمَ مِنْ تُرَابٍ, all of you from Adam, and Adam was from dust. So the verse is a reflective point for us to think about, even though there are other things happening in that surah, big things, momentous things, and even in those 10 verses, other things, big things, momentous things, it begins from a point of just simplicity. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَكُم مِّن تُرَابٍ, and from the signs of Allah, Allah made you from dust. And so all of us should abide to having that sense of humility in us, and never to become arrogant in ourselves, because our origin is a simple one. And by the way, when these ayat come to an end in ayah number 30, these 10 verses, it says فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلْحَنِيفَ, so turn your face towards the pure religion. So the end point is to do something in servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah accept from all of us.